All right. So on the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, I have got Miss Tootie Lynn with me, the little blue dragon. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. Doing really good. How have you been?
I've been good, just working and just being here and just doing show stuff and everything, sharing interviews and all of the above. Life is good.
Good. Good.
And I most definitely know that has to be good for you. So we're gonna get into it and everything. And I'm just so excited to have you on because yes.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So I'm gonna start by asking you, when did you fall in love with wrestling?
So I followed up for wrestling back in like 2017 because that's when I joined. That's when I got into it. I trained at this school called Dynamo Pro Dojo here in St. Louis, Missouri, training under Davey Richards at the moment. So yeah, that's how I got into it.
Okay, so you weren't really into it anytime before then?
Yeah, before, okay, sorry. Okay, so before, yes. I just been watching it since I was little. My grandpa would have it on his TV all the time when I come over. So like, I'm like familiar with like, he would talk about like Macho Man and Andre the Giant and all of them and Ric Flair, who was at NWA. My mom, who's also a huge wrestling fan, she's always watched it with me. She loves Jazz, who was also there at NWA, and Awesome Kong.
Yes. Well, it looks like, from you watching it and then sort of getting into it yourself, you were able to sort of bridge that gap once you did get into it. So you said that you started, sort of training in 2017. So when was the moment for you where you clicked that you wanted to pursue it as like a full-on career?
So honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to stick with it because I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I wasn't sure like how the whole thing worked. Like, I don't know, like, but the fact that it's challenging and I'm always up for a challenge, because back in my karate days, like everything was just a challenge. Nothing was easy. Like, it's like everybody was testing me. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and stick with this and see where it leads.
Okay. And I saw on your Instagram, it says you have a black belt in karate.
I do, yes. So I started karate at the age of 14, 15, around that age, and just been doing it ever since. I still train with my sensei to this day. So yeah, I just combined my martial arts into my wrestling.
Okay. So how was that transition like? Like, was that something that was simple or was it a little bit difficult in terms of your wrestling training? Or was it just easy?
It was a little difficult, because like, well, honestly, like it's just, I don't know, because it's just, I know not a lot of people like have that like fighting background. So it's a little tough, like doing like the martial arts with them. But yeah, like, I mean, it's in between.
Okay. Well, what would you say were some of the best lessons that you learned while you were training to become a wrestler?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
I said, what were some of the best lessons that you learned as you were becoming a wrestler, as you were training?
So the best thing that I learned out of wrestling is confidence, and confidence is always key. Always go into your match with your head high, go in there knowing what you're going to do. Yes, I would definitely say confidence, learning how to be humble and all that.
Okay. Were there any specific like obstacles that you faced as you were sort of growing into your wrestling career?
Honestly, I would say my size, because not a lot of people took me serious. Because like, you've seen me in person, I'm small. I'm not jacked. I'm not 6 foot tall. I'm not muscular, none of that. So people would like just take me for granted and just think, oh, what is this? So that's one of the obstacles that I face.
So really, like, I didn't even know, like, I think, see, in my experience with wrestling, I never wrestled before. Like, I'm just a fan, who has a show and all that. But it's just, I really hardly have ever hear women talk about their size being a factor. Like, that's probably the first time I've ever heard any person on my show say that, any woman on my show say that size would be a factor into not being taken seriously. Like, because I've heard it with men, but I had never heard it with the women at all. And yeah, when I did see you, like, I didn't think anything of it, because I'm thinking, because when I first saw you in the ring, I just saw, like, okay, this girl is fierce, she has all of her action, like, she's kicking people, like, this is cool, but the size thing I didn't even think of at all. So wow, like, people really weren't checking for you because you were small?
Yeah, it be like that. Like, it's like the first thing they see when they notice me is my size. They're just like, you're small. I'm aware I'm small. I don't need you to tell me that I'm small. But as soon as I get in that ring, everybody want to change their mind about me.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I'm glad that you were able to sort of rise above that, because ultimately I feel like size shouldn't necessarily be like a factor into how well of a performer you are. So
Right.
so I'm really glad that you were able to sort of rise above that and still, kick butt the way that you kick butt and be yourself, like that's great. That's really great.
I've all, like, and again, like, I've heard that before too with men. I thought that only happened to men until someone said it to me. Someone actually said it on Twitter, that there was like, she's too small, like, to be on there. And I'm like, I can't help that. Like, what you want me to do about that? I can't help that. People can't help how they look.
Yeah, that's it's so funny you brought up Twitter. I actually had a bad experience with Twitter this past weekend. Like, someone was making fun of me because I am a little bit thick, but it's okay. Thick thighs save lives, so we're gonna move on.
I think you are gorgeous. Okay, like, I think you are. Well, so forget what whoever said that, bump them. I was gonna say them. I'm trying to, like, keep from cursing. I just hate how people body shame other people, because I don't mean to put this on me, but, like, I was body shamed, like, once, like, and it happened in this business. I was body shamed for not being thick, for not being thick. I was skinny or too small and, like, all that. But then, like, I started, like, doing, like, a lot of workouts with one of my friends, Kenny Alfonso and Fred Yehi. I started doing workouts with them, and, like, I've actually toned up some. But girl, nah, bump them. No, you are gorgeous, and I love your smile. So please don't listen to whoever said that. Trying to keep from cursing.
No, I get it. It is okay. And I appreciate your energy. Like, thank you so much. But yeah, it's a lot. But and then a lot of people also don't take into account that even when you're small, people shame that. Like, I feel like a lot of attention is placed upon body shaming in terms of, thicker people, but thinner people can also be shamed as well. Like, a lot of people really don't take that into account, but it's real out here.
Exactly.
And it's not, like, fair.
It's really not, because again, people can't help how they look. Like, even no matter how many times, like, how much they work out and stuff, like, some people just can't help how they look. And it's taken me forever to get bigger, obviously, because I feel like I got, like, high metabolism or something like that. But it's taken me a little minute to get even toner, but it's slowly working. But yeah, like, that plays a huge factor in wrestling as well. I feel like another thing that's a problem, or that's an obstacle in wrestling, is being Black.
Oh yeah.
Especially being a Black female, because peep this, like, a Black female in wrestling, we have to work 1,000 times harder. Like, we just do. It's always been so hard for us. Like, they would pick they would pick anybody over us. Like if we ain't blonde hair, blue eyes, or we're not like white, they just pick, you know, the white girls over us. And like, I'm not trying to be like making nobody uncomfortable, but it's facts.
Yeah. But even with that, you know, because I know that type of stigma is out there, not even just in terms of, you know, body shaming, but also in terms of diversity. Like diversity in wrestling has been a hot topic, you know, as of late, in terms of AEW, and also even in WWE, which it seems as if, you know, they're actually working to sort of make adjustments, because, you know, here and now, even today, everybody's been celebrating Big E winning the WWE title, and he won it from another black male, you know, in Bobby Lashley, who held the title for months, you know. But then at the same time, you have a lot of people who are also on the fence and kind of angry about Bianca Belair losing her title, you know, the way she did to Becky Lynch, and everybody's just kind of angry about that. And then with AEW, you know, they have a tendency to sort of book some of their people of color, mostly, you know, their black wrestlers, on their YouTube shows, but not really on their main TV shows. So there's a lot of, you know, improvement that has to be made, you know, in wrestling. But I feel like the time is, you know, coming where everything is getting better to a degree, because I'm seeing wrestlers like you and wrestlers like Trish Adore and so many other women and men, you know, get their just due, you know, even in the indies. So it's getting better, but, you know, there's always improvement. What you were about to say something.
Oh no, I was just gonna agree. Everything you said is 100% spot on. Like not just indie rest, or not just you know, the bigger companies, but indie wrestlers, indie bookers need to hop on that. Like y'all need to like see what's going on. And then like it's just some bookers out there don't know how to use a black woman, and that's a shame. If you don't know how, ask for help. Like freaking, I don't know, adjust, ask for help.
Yeah. Well, I believe maybe we'll talk more a little bit about that the further we go along. So I wanted to ask you, since the first time I saw you wrestle was at the NWA Empower Women's Invitational Cup. Like, what was that process like, and how exactly did they get in contact with you to participate in Empower, and what was that even like? Like, how was that?
Like I said before, it was very overwhelming. I was grateful and honored and excited. I'm never gonna stop saying that. So how it all started, it started with one tweet from a fan. And I guess he found out they were going to be in town that week. And he was like, do not come here without booking our hometown girl, Tootie. So then my guys at the dojo saw the tweet, and they're like, oh, hell no, we finna tweet this. We finna do something about this. So then like one day, like I was just, you know, I think I was like at work or something. My phone was just blowing up. And I just see all these tweets from like different wrestlers, my guys down at the dojo. So like it just wouldn't stop blowing up. So then, like, I believe the very next day, Mickey James herself, shout out to Mickey, hit me up and was like, you know, hey, I'm not familiar with who you are, but I want to get to know you. So her and I had a Zoom meeting, like how you and I are, and she got to know me, I got to know her, and that's when she was like, well, I want to announce you as the first participant. And like just hearing those words come out of her mouth, like come out of a legend's mouth, I'm just like, did she really just say that? Like that she was the first participant to be announced. She didn't choose, mind you, she could have chose a name. She could have chose another legend from the past. She could have picked anybody that was popular on the indie scene, but she chose me. Out of all people, she chose me, and I'm gonna be forever grateful to Mickey and everybody involved at NWA.
Now, that's amazing that basically your entire hometown just kind of just rallied behind you, and all of
Yes.
your fans sort of rallied behind you in that way. Like, social media is a powerful tool, like, to get done what you wanted to get done. So just the idea of one fan saying, look, like, y'all ain't finna come here unless she's on the card. And
Right.
it, just snowballing into that and into you talking to Mickie James, it's just amazing. So, like, what was it like being backstage with so many amazing people like her and Jazz and all of those women? Like, what was that like, backstage?
Very, very exciting because I got the opportunity to share locker rooms with these ladies and these legends and just learn from them and just pick their brains a bit. And like, I was kind of, no, I'm not gonna lie, I was questioning myself, and I was like, do I really belong back here with y'all? Do I really belong backstage? Do I really like fit in a way? And then like my mom had to keep reminding me, like, yes, you do belong, and that, you deserve every opportunity that comes your way. Like, so she was the one who was reminding me, yes, you do belong in that locker room with any of them.
It's always the moms, isn't it? It's
It's
always the
always,
mamas that give you the pep talks.
yes. I'm thankful for my mom too, because she's been like riding this out with me since I started training. Because even she was like, I'm not sure where this is going to go, but I'm going to support you all the way. Like, she's been like taking me to my shows when I first started. Then, down the line, I would make a carload myself, and we just go.
That's kind of like my parents. Like, when I started my podcast, they weren't exactly sure what a podcast was. And they just knew that I was just going to be talking about wrestling. But ever since then, everything that's happened with it over the course of a year, like, they've been really supportive and really okay with it. Even with
That's
me,
good.
yeah, even with me commentating and everything, and just, even doing women's wrestling talk and going to St. Louis, like, just having a support system, even from people that you don't even realize are paying attention, like that, meant the world to me. So it was kind of like NWA Empower was sort of our coming out party. Like, it was our first time doing things, like my first time interviewing wrestlers in that sort of atmosphere, and then
Mm-hmm.
your first time, with NWA. So were you nervous, like, going into the ring, like, with your entrance and how everybody was screaming for you and everything? Like, did that, like, scare you at all?
It just wowed me in a way. Like, I was just beyond surprised, wowed, and like I didn't know how my city was going to act, but they were so loud, and like, just, oh my god, like I will never forget that energy. I will never forget it. But I was very nervous. But my trainer Davey Richards told me it's always okay to have butterflies, because that just means you care. I just wanted to make my home proud. Like, I hope I made my city proud. So, I couldn't have done this without them.
Like, I'm more than sure you did, because I remember when I first came in and we were sitting down, and I was kind of looking ahead in the corner, and I saw your family with your shirts.
Yeah.
And I was just like, who are these people? Because they're all collected together wearing the same shirt. And then when you came out, and then everybody just kind of started losing it and everything. And then I saw them and I saw you hug them afterward. I was just like, oh, okay, that's her family. Those are her people. So
Yeah.
that was really heartwarming for me to see, that all those people, including your family, were behind you even in that moment. And I will just say that I was rooting for you to win the cup. Like, when it came down to you and Chelsea, like, I was like, oh my God, if she wins, if Tootie wins, I'm losing it. Like, I'm gonna lose my mind, and it's gonna be amazing. So how was that? What was that like being in the final two with her?
It was nerve-wracking, but I knew what I had to do. So like, yeah, it was fun being in there with Chelsea. Like, although I didn't come out with the win. Like, and then towards the end of it, like, obviously y'all saw me boo-hooing. Like, and it wasn't even because I lost. Like, the loss don't matter, but the fact that I kept hearing you guys, like my fans, like I kept hearing everybody scream for me, cheering for me. Like, everybody was just still behind me. Like, after all that, like, it wasn't even about the loss. Like, it's just like, dang, like y'all are still behind me, even though I lost, because like I didn't know what to think. I was like, man, they finna be mad at me. Like, I legit thought like everyone was gonna be mad at me, but everybody was still behind me.
Yeah, like we were not mad at you at all. Like we were like, well, I can speak for myself. I'm not from St. Louis. Like I can't speak for St. Louis, but I'm more than sure that they were not mad at you because I wasn't mad at you. Like that just wasn't the energy at all. So
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about that. Like I was just really excited. And I feel like there were a lot of tears, shed that day. Like between you and then between Awesome Kong retiring and all of the above, like it was just so much crying.
That day, I will never forget August 28th of 2021, because that day was very emotional. Like you said, with Awesome Kong retiring. And then like the part when all the ladies came out and everybody was cheering. And then when Chelsea was holding that sign up saying it's not just women's wrestling, this is wrestling. Like, it was just very emotional. Then my mom and my aunt and my grandma, my big sister was there. They had the whole room crying when I was hugging them. Like, it was a very emotional day. And I felt like everybody in that room shared the same feelings.
Definitely. Like I know I am absolutely, happy to have been a part of that in every way, like the entire show, just being able to be there for it. And then being able to talk to so many of you, including you, at Fan Fest and everything like that with for Women's Wrestling Talk, shout out to them, just being able to do that, just and being a part of it, it means the world to me because I remember when Evolution happened with WWE. I wasn't there for that, but I felt the same way. Like I felt like those same feelings I had watching that show, I had watching Empower, except it was like times 10 because I was there and actually a part of it. So it was a wonderfully done show. And I'm so happy that Mickie James, had the foresight to do it and to actually, push for it to happen. And I'm just so happy that you were a part of it. So to sort of get away from wrestling a little bit, so what are some TV shows that you like to watch, in your free time when you're not wrestling?
Oh girl, so I've been binge watching like a lot of Korean horror, which is Netflix. I can't like really put a name on what they were called, but like I've been binge watching like Korean anything that's like Korean horror, like whether it's a show or whether it's like a movie. So I've been looking at a lot of Korean horror. I also love The Walking Dead. I love cartoons. I love anime. What else? What else do I like? I know I've been playing my video game. I know that's not like a show or anything, but like I just been playing like my Nintendo Switch. I'm looking forward to the new Pokemon game that's coming out in November, and then there's another one coming out in January. So I am so excited about that. But yeah, those are what I like to do. I also love drawing. I'm a drawer. I love drawing like Pokemons and animes. I love walking my dogs. I have 3 of them.
What are their names?
Okay, so the Chihuahua mix, she's a Chiweenie. Her name is Maromi. She's 9 years old. She just turned 9 in July. And then we have Coco. She's at least 16 years old. She's a miniature poodle. And then we have our 6-month-old pit bull lab named Latte.
Oh, those are cool names. They all sound so adorable.
Are like Latte, like she's just a big old puppy. She just loves to play. She tries to play with her sisters, but they're older, so of course they don't want to play with her back, so she'd have to go play with her toys, or I'd have to like take her on these long walks to like wear her out.
Oh, so and then you mentioned video games. Like, there's no problem mentioning video games here. This is a safe space.
Yeah.
So, if that's what you do to unwind, then that's just perfectly fine. So, you mentioned like cartoons. Like, what are your favorite cartoons to watch, like, per se?
Oh, girl. So I'm gonna go back in time. I want to say Courage the Cowardly Dog. I
Yes.
love Puff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Ed Nettie, Samurai Jack. I love Pokemon, Batman Beyond. So it's a lot. Animaniacs.
Yeah, those are the greatest hits right there. You
Mm.
basically list all the ones that I watched.
Oh my God! Did you watch Rugrats growing up?
I actually didn't. My mom didn't allow me to watch Rugrats.
What?
No,
Why?
no, I'm gonna tell you why. The reason why is because she didn't want me to be negatively influenced. Because I think because Phil and Lil would do like kind of gross things in her opinion. Like, she felt like, they were doing stuff like eating worms and all the other stuff. And she just didn't want me to be negatively influenced by them and Angelica. So she
Oh
never let me watch it. So for a number of years, until like maybe I turned maybe 10 or 11 or 12, I had never watched Nickelodeon. So I hadn't seen all that or any of those other things
my.
until way later. So yeah, it was, yeah, my childhood was crazy.
I understand that the Rugrats were bad kids, but like, come on, man. Like, I get it though. I get it.
Yeah, but I did watch Cartoon Network heavily, and then I
Yeah,
watched Disney Channel as well. So those were my main two, and then
yeah.
PBS as well. So those were like my main three. And then Nickelodeon was like way later because my cousin came from out of town and had us watch SpongeBob, and that's just kind of what did it for us then. Then I
Oh
watched Nickelodeon, so everything
yeah.
was okay.
I love SpongeBob too. He's so hilarious.
Yeah, well, since we brought up SpongeBob, like, what is your opinion about SpongeBob, like, now in terms of their episodes, in comparison to their past episodes?
The past episodes will always be funnier than the current episodes. One of my favorite past episodes is the one with the hash slinging slasher when him and Squidward had to stay at work overnight, and Squidward told him that bullcrap story about the hash slinging slasher.
Yes.
And I think another one of my favorite ones is the Krusty Krab pizza episode.
Oh my God, I was just thinking about that when you said it. I can't.
Oh my God, girl. Every time I order pizza, I sing the Krusty Krab pizza song. You cannot order pizza without singing the Krusty Krab song.
Oh my God, that was my song too. It's so
Uh,
crazy. Oh, okay. But just to bring it back to wrestling a little bit, how did the pandemic sort of affect your career in a sense?
so it affected my career heavily, and it's actually brought me to a like Great Depression. I thought wrestling was never coming back. I thought my job was never going to open up again. I just thought it was all over. Like, I'm just like, man, this is like the new world order. Like, we got to stay in the house. We got to wear these masks. We can never see our friends and family again. So like, I was really depressed because in my like I overthink a lot. Like, obviously,
Me
like,
too.
overthink a lot of stuff. So it just led me to worry, and I was just concerned about family and friends and just the world in general. So yeah, I was very depressed.
Yeah, and I know like a lot of wrestlers I had talked to, once the lockdown really first started, they were still trying to sort of find ways to stay relevant on social media and still try to, make money with their merchandise and all that other stuff. So, what was your way of coping with that? Because you mentioned, your depression. Like, how did you cope with that?
So like, thankfully I had like, a good support system. I had my household. I had like my friends down at the dojo. I had again my Nintendo Switch. I would also like look at some wrestling, like look at some like old wrestling. I would look at like Kenta. I would look at like Marufuji and all them. So yeah, like, or like I would just randomly think of stuff to like do if the world were to open back up. Like, for example, I would like to learn how to garden. I would like to put a garden in my backyard because I love flowers. Like, I love colorful things.
Okay. Well, it looks like thankfully, you had other things sort of occupy your time. And ultimately, I feel like that's what kind of helped a lot of people is just finding out, what other hobbies they could get into and stuff like that. So that's really good. So, um, who, hmm, who has been your favorite opponent to face so far?
My favorite opponent so far? Jazz.
Really?
I wrestled Jazz back in 2020. Back in 2020, I wrestled Jazz before the whole thing happened, which was a great learning experience. Like, it was really fun working with her, and I love to do it again. Like, I've seen people put it out there on Twitter saying, hey, like, Jazz and Tootie should definitely run it back.
Yeah, and it's so weird. It's like everybody's sort of making all these requests and everything for Jazz, even after she's retired. And it's just sort of, yeah, because I talked to her even at FanFest, and it's just like she said, that if she were to come back and maybe wrestle, she has like her picks and chooses of who she would want to face. So a part of me is just kind of like, so are you finished or are you not finished? Like, it's almost like the door is still open for her to come back if she wants to, but she sounds like she's tired at the same time. So it's just like, I don't want to be inconsiderate and be that person that's just like, oh, you need to come on. But at the same time, if she's leaving the door open, then come on.
If the door is open, then just come back. Like, I mean, but I get it though. I get it. Like, Jazz, like, shoot, I want to help the up and coming ladies now. Like, she probably feel like, I had my shine, I had my turn. It's time for me to give back, and that's exactly what she's doing. She's giving back to the ladies in wrestling.
Right. And then with her working backstage with you guys at Empower, that's one way that she's doing that. And that's fantastic.
It was her, Gail, Kim, and Mickey. They've been like a huge help just being backstage with us.
Right. So outside of that part, if you were to ever get the opportunity to be signed to a major company like, say, an NWA or Impact or WWE or AEW, would you take that opportunity, and where exactly would you want to go?
Of course. So what I'm hoping for is, like, I would like NWA. I would like to either be with NWA. I would like to be with Impact. I wouldn't mind AEW, and I wouldn't mind MLW.
Okay. So basically, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you good. So like, it's honestly, wherever, like, if the money is good, like, where I can, like, live off of it, I would take either of those companies, especially like if it's a non-exclusive deal, then where I can do indies and commit to the major companies, then I would definitely take the offer. And if the money is good.
Okay. So that's a pretty good deal to have, because some wrestlers do want to be able to wrestle in multiple places, and they do like that. So I respect that. And I believe that you have what it takes to make it, ma'am. So I'm putting it out there in the universe that at some point, whether it be a year from now or 2 or 3 years from now, you're going to be in a major company, and it's going to be awesome. And I'm going to say I interviewed her twice. So, yes, definitely. So in light of everything that's been going on, how do you feel about the state of wrestling as a whole? Because, with AEW, you have all these people, like CM Punk, who's made his return. And then you have Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, who've come to AEW as well. And then you have everything with the NWA and everything they've done for women's wrestling, and Impact, doing their knockout show for the women as well, that's coming up. and just everything going on in wrestling as a whole. Like, how do you feel about the state of it now?
We still got some fixing up to do, but like I feel like it's on the right path. Hopefully we can keep on with it. Definitely we need more like what NWA did with the women. We need more of that. We need more of that. And again, like we need to start like pushing more, Black wrestlers like to be on TV and stuff. We need more of that.
Definitely. I agree with that because I mean, at the end of the day, I was told this by Sahara Seven. Like in some places, she has heard that women's wrestling wouldn't necessarily be a draw or wouldn't make money and stuff like that. And even Mickie James alluded to that as well. And that's just, and events like Empower and even Evolution, when they did have it in WWE, shows that that's not a correct assessment at all. And I feel like an event like Empower would be great to have maybe once a year, if not twice a year. I mean, I'm just being greedy, but like if it happens
with that
like twice a year, like that would be fantastic. So, so to ask you one more question, well, actually two more questions.
Okay.
Who are your top 5 favorite wrestlers, male or female?
Okay, so top 5 wrestlers. Let me see. Kenta, Marufuji, Jazz. Who else? I really like Ricochet, and Undertaker.
Oh, that's a pretty diverse top 5 though. Like I like that list.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I also like the fact that you have no problem mentioning Asian wrestlers too. Like that's amazing to me. So I'm just like, okay, like you really like dart around, in terms of the type of wrestling that you watch, and it's really diverse. So I like that. And what would you say the future holds for you?
Well, so what the future holds for me, besides staying on top of my training for wrestling and just keep going until like the next opportunity opens up, I'm also helping produce a wrestling show on our YouTube channel. It's called BACW Grudges. Myself, Camaro Jackson, and Mike Outlaw are the producers, but Fred Yehai is the director. So if you get a chance, check that out. It's on YouTube. We got 28 episodes out so far, and then we will have more to come.
That sounds so good. You're producing too. Like you're just gonna be a Jill of all trades, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes.
And also check out that 30-minute Iron Woman match that Trisha Dora and I had. It was the first ever Iron Woman match done by 2 African American females.
Ooh, okay, cool. I will definitely check that out. Well, Tootie Lynn, thank you so much for joining me on the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. So if you can, just put yourself over and tell everybody where they can follow you and find you. You already started that, but just go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you on social media and stuff.
Alrighty. So on Twitter at Tootie Lynn, Instagram Tootie Lynn Ramsey. Same with my Facebook, Tootie Lynn Ramsey.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my show. And I look forward to seeing everything that you've got going on. And I also look forward to having you back on the show, if the opportunity ever arises.
Yes, absolutely. I want to come back. This was great.
Yes, we wish you nothing but good things here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.